What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Yoga Tantra Healing channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to build more life force energy, how to build more ki, chi, prana in Kundalini life force. We have all these different words to look at the fundamental energy we can build in the human energy system. And sorry, I got this little eye, irritated my eye earlier. So try not to get distracted by my facial features and make this video for you guys. Anyways, when it comes to the life force energy, that's what the whole purpose of even what I share on this channel, the practice of yoga, the practice of Tantra, and just our practice in general, our daily exercises, our daily things that we do to build upon our energy. Because a lot of people, we think of energy, we think of, oh, I need food for energy, I need money for energy, and on a physical level, we need all these things for energy. But we forget about the spiritual that comes first, or the non-physical dimension of energy. This is when we get into prana in the yogic terminology, or prana, to say it more plainly. That energy that is non-physical but flows through all things, we could say this is like the spirit or the spiritual essence that flows through all things. And we have to understand that. I made the video on the Divine Mother, Kundalini. What is the Divine Mother? And I thought of why I even named that. What is the Divine Mother? Not just who is she? Because she has so many personifications that we can connect to, different divinities of the goddess that we can connect to. But in terms of what is that essence that she pervades, because she's more than a thing or a person or just, one being, or, one way to put it. And that's even how we have to start to perceive God in the multiplicity, even in having all these different forms of God and with different traits and abilities, and sometimes, manifestations and avatars and all these different things, for many different traditions. But even just in the yogic, in the Hindu tradition, the Vedic traditions, we have all these different forms, all representing the one fundamental truth, or Brahman, or source, God, unified, and then completely non-physical. So then manifesting into the physical, we have all these forms. So the reason why I'm getting into that is why all these different chants are working upon different parts of our energies and our energetic centers, our chakras, essentially, that these different sounds activate. And you can, read various tantras, and, I've read various tantras. I'll have to get a whole compilation of different books and stuff, but I only have them on my phone right now, so I don't have actual books. I can just be like, all these different books. I only have a few, but, more on that later, on doing your own reading, doing your own studies, and reading these different scriptures for yourself, the different tantras, the different from different traditions as well, how that can benefit you. But even that can build energy. So it kind of ties into this video and this topic, but I'll make a separate video for that when it comes up again. But essentially, that's what they're teaching, is explaining from getting beyond the seen form or the physical. I even made that video on myths and spirituality and the new age of, how so much attention can be put onto these idols and these different images, or different, certain things, when we need to remember to connect to the divinity also within us, as we're connecting to that divinity of the deity or of God and goddess in the various forms. And remembering that this is an inward process, and all outward processes are helping us build upon that energy as well. So even ritual can, offering can be a form of energy building, if you understand where we're coming from. So if you have a sacred space, it could just be, an altar with crystals, maybe some candles, incense, whatever you use, flowers, different, totems, all those sort of things. All these different things can help you tune into this state of energy, understanding that, we are manifesting our energy even in these things. Like if you're connected to a crystal, especially because it has more of a piezoelectric charge that can both store and transmit information and energy, and that's why crystals are powerful. That's why we're drawn to them. I haven't made a video on that either, but all things in good timing. And essentially how I had one way back on the other day on my other channel, my music channel. You can check that out now. It's just a music channel, so I do all these types of videos here. But I used to have some videos over there a few years back that I ended up cleaning up and making that channel just for my music journey. So you can check that out if you'd like to, with the links in the description, and get into contact with us also there. But sticking to the subject matter, when you have an altar, even people misunderstand that we, like, even myself at times, we get all these different things and we may have them. Sometimes we forget about the energetic connection, like with a crystal. And then when you charge that crystal, say you take it out in the sunlight with you, or you meditate with it, you put it on the different chakras, or you just hold it in your hands. You can just cup your hands and hold a crystal in meditation. These are all really practical ways to connect with those type of altars. Even a crystal in itself is an altar. That's a little more advanced of an understanding, but just understanding again how each of these energy forms, mantras, a chant, a sound which is non-physical. We can't see sound. We can see our lips moving, we can see our vocal cords and everything contracting, our diaphragm and our breathing, and we can hear it, but we don't see the sound waves. If you ever looked at those cymatic videos, those are great for seeing these different frequencies also that we use in the different geometries that they form. Essentially, your cells get in those shapes. Again, the frequencies and the different sounds and the different instruments, the different chants, each building our life force energy. So I bring these things into our awareness because all these different things we share on the channel, from basic yoga and tantra and asana and doing your daily practice, pranayama, which is breathing, understanding your breathing patterns, becoming conscious of the breath, and then learning to also, you could say, alter that at will. Again, an altar, just your breath, the altar of the body, the temple of the Most High is the body. Remember that. As within, so without. And when you put all those pieces together, you're like, okay, so both practices that I do that are internal, like say a chant, that's building my spiritual energies, and you will feel this once you stick to a practice. Once you do it for more than, let's say, 3 to 7 days, you'll probably begin to feel this. If you do a chant every day, we're doing the Asatoma Satgamaya mantra practice chant this month in June. So I want to challenge everyone and myself every day to add this mantra into our daily practices, 5 to 10 minutes. I said 5 minutes in the videos. If you really want to get more benefits, about at least 10 minutes for these mantras. Or you could go in cycles of 9, 108, different multiples of that. But the 108 is very significant as well if you want the full extended practice. I don't know if that meditation is specifically 108 chants, the Asatoma Satgamaya meditation that we have, but that's also available on Spotify and all the streaming platforms, plus a video on the channel. So it should be enough times to give you a full, it's about 30 minutes long. So that is a full practice. But again, just 5 minutes to your day of this Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Om. And it has the Om in there. It has the Om Shanti 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 Om, which is peace in all three worlds and all the three gunas, essentially, and both within us and within each other within the world. And peace as in the state of being, at ease and at rest, So that's the beauty of Om Shanti. Nasatoma Satgamaya means lead us from untruth to truth. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya means lead us from darkness to light. And Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya means lead us from death to the nectar or the bliss of immortality. Om Shanti 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 Om. Again, that Om, the pranava, the transcendent vibration of the universe, and then the Shanti mantra, which is for peace to exist in all three gunas, in all three dimensions of that realm. Not the three dimensions of our understanding, but the three principles that govern creation. And essentially that mantra in itself is very powerful for Kundalini awakening, because it's beginning to not only those sounds, again, charging the energetic body, but again, this discipline of doing this every day is going to help you each day to build more energy. And we have the frequencies, again, the instruments that help to bring about that process as well. But just you could chant even just alone, it's nice to have a frequency to tune to so that you can set your voice to kind of match that pitch. And you'll hear the traditional method of chanting. I'm forgetting the word right now. I wanted to say stotram, but that's just a specific a chant, and in various forms. But essentially, the meter in which you're chanting and the notes that you're chanting can also increase this energy. So I'm sure you can learn that vicariously through the meditations that we share there on this channel, as well as plenty of other great teachers and resources out there to help you learn notes and music and frequency and how these mantras are traditionally sung. So that, again, this is building a practice, and this is building our life force energy. This is how we get Kundalini to begin to rise, is to have a practice, to have an actual, not just an understanding of these ideas, but an actual experience. And we give ourselves these experiences daily. This is also Tantra when it comes to the mantra, the chanting, also when it comes to the sexual Tantra, whether you're solo or with a partner, you can use that energy that you're building through learning to circulate this energy, learning to channel your life force energy through the various methods there as well. And I don't outline all those as well. I'm still learning as well. I'd like to get more certifications in those fields, so all in the bigger journey. But I have been studying Tantra and the different systems for about 11 years now, 12 years almost. Probably 11 years with Tantra. It was in 2014, not just 2013 when I got started in yoga, but then I started learning about Tantra, Egyptian Tantra, Taoist Tantra, and then Indian Tantra as well later on, more extensively. I was already practicing it, but I didn't know that's what I was practicing. I was like, oh, this makes sense. They each have their own forms of this. There's the traditional, more religious side to those practices, and you could say cultures or traditions and indigenous traditions. And then there's also the tantric side, which is more the mysticism and the more sometimes taboo practices or things that religion and general society deemed as unfit for spirituality, just because the common person couldn't handle the discipline, again, that came with those practices. It's interesting when you think about it that way, because you start to see as a bigger whole that various people or various groups of people, different races, different nationalities, different areas, we're all studying these different teachings that were very similar, and you can trace them back to a few of these sources. Some would say Kemet, some would say India. It seems to be a little fusion of the two, and they also, began trading that most likely. But Egyptian Tantra can go back even tens of thousands of years. They have records, so that's another interesting thing to ponder in the larger scale of the cycles on Earth and where we are now at this culmination of now we have access to all of this different information. That's why I always say, look up these scriptures. That is a great practice to build your energy. Learn the asanas. You can reach out to us for sessions, or we have a few basic teachings here on or asana sequences here on the channel, where you can learn to just some basic at-home stretches to begin to build energy and clear blockages from your bodies, your nadis, which are the energetic pathways or meridians in Chinese medicine that the chi flows through, or the prana flows through. Because we have the veins, we have the nervous system, and yes, doing yoga helps all of those things, but also realize the non-physical energy that runs the whole body is that prana, and what prana we can get from food, sunlight, air, water, from the earth, just standing barefoot on the earth. All of these different things to build our energy, taking certain herbs, doing detoxes, cleansing, especially in today's toxic environments, making sure we're doing constant detoxes, being aware of what our body needs, when we need more rest, when we need more exercise and sweat and going out in the sunlight. All these different things, again, we're going to begin building that life force energy. If you've been following me on this channel and you've been doing some of these practices with me, because I don't just preach this to you guys, I practice everything I preach on my channel. I use all these mantras, I embody them first in my own practice, and then you could say channel that into a recording or when that realization comes for that mantra, I try to let them come naturally as Divine Mother sends these frequencies, these songs, these different aspects to get us in tune with. And as I've learned to do it that way, it's always been more intuitive and natural than just I could do so many chants. But if you guys aren't doing these with me, there's no point in me sharing so much. I try to keep it simple because we're all at different stages in our journey, and I try to acknowledge that in myself, how I'm still growing, and I'm only, so far in my own practices and learning, understanding of this stuff. And then I try to transmit that as authentically as I can with that level of connection and to doing these things and seeing how they work. It's like, wow, maybe you don't see how much work it takes just to build one meditation, but I'm tuning all the instruments, I'm using real live instruments, recording the vocals, everything, and then going in, to do the production work, just like anything else with my other music. You don't always see that. Even that becomes an energy building practice for us, and I'm grateful to be able to transmit that clear vibration to you all, because it's helped me so much on my journey. Is the chants, especially over the years. It was just Om and a few, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, just Ganesha, Om Namah Shivaya, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, and simple, very simple chants, that we learned early on our path before I got into all the tantric mantras and stuff. And even those, you should learn to get in tune with the forms that connect with you, and you don't need to do all of these all the time. So again, we have the Asatoma Satgamaya challenge. Join us in that, chant that every day, and I'll be sharing various mantras throughout the month for that to help everyone have that inspiration and obviously show up for you guys, show you guys like, yeah, this is the practices that I actually do. And I'll go on 30-40 day cycles with different mantras, sometimes less than that. Sometimes you may only need to do it one day. You're just going to do a certain ritual with a certain mantra, and you only need it for that one day, for that one occasion, not one day out of the year, because the more you connect with that mantra, the more you get in tune with that divinity. So that's the connection that you're really looking for in any of those practices. But again, we have all the different layers, which is why I offer these sessions, and we have so many different tiers of yoga and Kundalini awakening and Tantra that we can get into for this natural healing. So join us, check out the links in the description. I'll get off this video. I've said enough here, I think, today, but I'm grateful and feeling good where this is leaving off. So do enjoy, subscribe to the channel, check out some of the mantra meditations, stay tuned for more, and send angel love, my love. Namaste.